Welcome back everyone to SCUR. This is version 2.3 for Minecraft 1.13 and this may very well be the last version for 1.13. The next version may actually be in 1.14 or we may have a simple version in between just to bridge the two as well, because there are going to be some major changes in between this one and the next one. As a lot of you know, Minecraft 1.14 is bringing in a whole host of new default textures. I'm going to be going through these one by one and picking out which ones I want to keep and which ones I want to revert back to the original textures. And that's going to take quite some time to do, so it might not be for a while. We're also going to be waiting on Optifine coming out, and also the final version of 1.14, whether it be 1.14.1 or 1.14.7, who knows what it's going to be, but Minecraft will end up with a finalized version of 1.14, which we will work towards. And then, of course, as I mentioned, there's already the Optifine features like CIT, MC Patcher, obviously all those kind of things. So without further ado, this is version 2.3 for Minecraft 1.13. Just a few things to tidy up the current SCUR before it gets converted and updated, and also a few things in addition to that as well. So first of all, there are three custom things that use model data in this. We have first of all the jukebox, which requires a JSON file which has all the model data inside it. We have the debugged wrench, or the rotation wrench as I've now called it, and this obviously uses a different model path as well. And of course the custom end crystal item texture as well. Obviously just the item texture. In world it looks completely different, or sorry, in world it's how you'd expect, but there you go. So I've simply tidied up the file paths for all three of these, so they're all found in a folder called custom, which is within textures. So all of the JSON file paths refer to custom jukebox side, or custom end crystal shell, for example, that kind of thing. So yeah, it just makes it a little bit easier to see all the custom textures without them being, mixed in with all of the other textures, which are, they're supposed to be there basically in the item folder or the block folder or whatever it would be. We've also recently done some major updates to the language folder. The language file is a rather interesting one because I've had it in my pack for quite some time and never even realized that you actually don't need to have every single line in the language pack. Previously, I had like 3,000 lines in the language pack, which made it a huge file in itself, and it was really unclear to see what had actually been changed around and what hadn't been. So now, from now on, obviously from today until the future, the language pack for SCUR will be a very simple file which has all of the additions and changes in one simple place. So we won't have any of the other names that haven't been changed around. It's only the ones that have been changed around. So for example, we have the rotation wrench, previously known as the debug stick. We have the lighter, also known as the flint and steel. We have quartz tiles, previously known as chiseled quartz block, because obviously I've changed the block to be tiles as opposed to the chiseled texture. And we also have the apotropaic gem, which is of course the totem of undying. Now all four of these things have been showcased previously. We have obviously the debug stick has a different file path for its texture, which is a completely custom and original texture. The flint and steel is just called the lighter. I've wanted that to be in the pack since day one, but it's fluctuated between whether it has and hasn't been because of how confusing the language file was to read. Quartz chiseled has been changed to quartz tiles, which uses the same kind of format as dark prismarine, but obviously white. And of course, Totem of Undying is no longer the Totem of Undying, it's an apotropaic gem, which sort of follows along with like Greek mythology, I think it is, but that was ages ago that I did that now, so I can't even completely remember. Obviously in language files we do have some custom records as well. So we have C418's area math, we have C418's dog, which is a Easter egg if you listen to cat for long enough. We have a few others as well that are all listed there, and of course the names for those are all correct in the language file now as well. And I've actually started to use some custom colors as well. So obviously we have area math, dog, blocks, haunt muskie, far, and here we go, we have Juke Deck Whispering Reactions. Now, just to kind of highlight that it's Juke Deck instead of C418, I've simply made Juke Deck's name blue, which is of course Juke Deck's kind of like main color. That blue can actually be seen on the disc itself there, even though it is kind of the wrong shade, so I'm not really sure how to improve that, but maybe I'll make the Juke Deck color light blue in the future, but I think it looks good like that, to be honest. Obviously we have C418's Stranger Think, and I've made that red so it stands out a little bit as well, because obviously this is a remix of Stranger Things theme tune done by C418 himself. This has no connection to Minecraft, it's just if you follow C418 aside from Minecraft, which I personally do. We have Sweden, and of course the Caution and Crisis remix of Sweden, where the words Caution and Crisis remix are kind of a gold colour now. And then of course we have Ward, Wait, and also this new one, but we'll get onto that one in just a moment as well. Moving on from that, we have a really exciting change, which I am honestly really pleased with. I've been wanting to do something like this for a long time, and I'll just double check everything's loud before we do it. But if you follow my second channel, Skaliber 2, where I usually just shitpost, you'll see that I actually changed the note blocks. As you can see there, I think it sounds really, really cool. So Doesn't it sound really good? I really like it personally. I think it looks really, really good. And what these can be used for is making custom 8-bit music. Oh, sorry, not 8-bit music. Sorry, I think the correct term is chiptune music. But yeah, so we have like a 1, a lower 1, a double, and then we have this kind of like crunch sound and a double crunch sound. I have no idea what the hell those are actually called, but I just found them online. So there you go. I think it sounds great. I think it sounds brilliant. Superb. So moving on from that, we have a new music disc, which is called Pongman Gravitation. Now, I can't play this one, probably because YouTube will zuck my video. But yeah, this is just a new music disc. It's just a song I really like. I don't know if any of you have heard of Electronic Gems, but they are a music YouTube page which post electronic gems, or they're kind of known as like kind of like vaporwave music, like you know, a lot of people will know home resonance because it's kind of a meme in itself. But yeah, vaporwave music. I actually really do enjoy vaporwave music. Some of you who've known me for long enough may know that about me. But this is actually my recent favorite. It's Pongman Gravitation, and there will of course be credits to the video in the resource pack as well, just so it, you know, I'm not stealing the video. You can revert back to the video if you would like. But yeah, if you play this thing in a jukebox, it will have a custom soundtrack, and I haven't changed the texture for this one at all because I feel like the white of the record is actually kind of fitting for something like that, so I've just left it how it would be. Moving on from that, we have grass, and specifically snow. Now, it's been kind of pointed out to me recently that the snow texture didn't really make any sense, because the way that I had snow set up previously was you had snow when it was placed on top of a block, would cover up the grass, and it was basically the exact same texture as grass. So when you cover up mycelium and podzol, it's the exact same texture. And of course, mycelium goes a lot further down the edge than grass does. So when this texture here was used here, it's the exact same texture. There's no way of differentiating whether it's snowy grass, snowy podzol, snowy mycelium. It's just grass, podzol, mycelium, and then snow block side, snow block side, snow block side, if that makes any sense. So there's no way of differentiating these, so I can't make individual textures for them, unfortunately. I did look into it, see if I could do it with MC Patcher, but it's impossible as far as I can see, because the way that Minecraft is hard-coded is that when snow is on top of podzol, mycelium, and grass, this texture is exactly the same. There is no way around it, unfortunately. Actually, you know what? I just thought of a really obscure way I might be able to get that to work. So maybe we'll come back to that. Maybe we'll, yeah. You know what? I can't believe I didn't. I only thought about this literally right now. But in theory, what I could do is make the side texture for snowy grass nothing, and then use CTM instead, so that if a grass block is below snow, it gets the snow texture, but if a podzol block is below snow, it gets a different texture. Similar to how this works with the sandstone and the smooth sandstone. I don't know if any of you know, but I have something set up so that, you know, when you have two different versions of sandstone based on what blocks beneath it, I just think it looks quite cool. It usually goes in with in desert temples quite well. That could work really nicely, actually. I'll have to figure out whether or not snow block layers count as an entire block and whether that can even be used to dictate the texture of these, but yeah, that'll probably be in a future version, so I'll come back to you on that one. Otherwise, the grass is just longer when it's snowy. And this universal texture for snow being longer means that it covers up the mycelium, podzol, and grass all in the same way. I can't believe I just had a brainstorm in mid-video. That's never happened before. Oh, okay, well, there you go. Well, yeah, obviously we have now redstone wire as well, and the reason why the redstone cable is here is because I wanted to showcase the fact that color maps are now back. I temporarily removed color maps when we were building version 2 of SCUR because I had a lot of problems with MC Patcher having converted over to being Optifine specific. So when I had a color map for redstone originally, it no longer worked, so I just simply removed it. I have now once again figured out how to do color maps in version 1.13 and onwards. So here we go. Redstone is now very, very dark when it's turned off and very, very light when it's turned on, and it remains the same shade of lightness for about 6 blocks, and then it starts to very quickly taper off. And it goes back to this very dark and very dull base texture, which is almost black, but I think it looks good almost black because it shows, you know, obviously there's a massive difference between it when it's off and it's on, as you can see there. I think it works quite nicely, but there you go. Speaking of color maps, we also have water. Water has been changed around once again. I actually was supposed to have light colored water in my resource pack. Turns out it's been dark for the last 6 months, which is wrong. Simply because color maps weren't working once again, hurrah. So here we go. Water is now light coloured again. It's like a light blue. And to go along with this change, I've also updated all of the water-based items. So the water bucket the water bottles, and of course the buckets of fish as well, now have a much lighter blue watercolour, which matches up with the block form as well. And while we're on the subject of colours, the last thing we've actually done today is change around a lot of the sheep colours. I have actually known about color.properties for quite a while now. It's a very simple texture file, which is part of Optifine / MC Patcher, whatever you want to call it, where you have a long JSON file which goes along the lines of entity.sheep.white equals, and then a 6-digit value hex color, basically. Now, it's come to my attention that a lot of the sheep make no sense, unfortunately, because obviously the Minecraft colors have been updated quite a lot recently. Obviously, wool became a lot more brighter and saturated about 2 versions ago. Was it version 110? I think it was either version 110.2 or version 112.2. Made all of the kind of like colors a lot more saturated, but no one ever bothered to change the colors of sheep. I'm using barriers here, if you're wondering, by the way. That's how that's working. But yeah, all these sheep now are hopefully a lot closer in color to their wool counterpart. I simply went through each and every one of these colors and manually picked out the hex color from the wool underneath the sheep, and then recolored the sheep's color value. Kind of. It's difficult to explain. If you want to have a look at it, I simply recommend downloading the pack and actually looking at all the values. Now, not every single sheep has been changed. For example, the white sheep is the same, the lime sheep is the same, the grey sheep is the same as well. But for example, the orange sheep, I don't know why, but the orange sheep was basically identical to the yellow sheep. So the orange sheep looks very different now, and same with the pink sheep as well. The pink sheep was almost identical to the white sheep, so the pink sheep is actually now obviously pink, as you can see there. And yeah, my goal for this was just to make all the sheep match up with their respective wool colour, because I just think it makes more sense. And in addition to all of these changes as well, I've also made the default shaved sheep pattern simply more neutral as well. I tested around with having the sheep be entirely this skin colour, so that the wool was the only thing that was getting coloured, and the rest of the sheep was otherwise this kind of like skin tone, basically. But believe me, these sheep, when they didn't have these white rings around their face, looked so weird. They looked really creepy, so I wasn't going to bother with that. So here we go, we have the more neutral sheep colour, where just the middle of him, where you usually have all the white dots that are kind of ugly, is just a more neutral skin tone now, as you can see there. I just think it makes a lot more sense, because obviously when sheep are blue, if they get sheared, they become this, and then they go back to blue again. But obviously the sheep looks white, so you wouldn't know if it was blue. Unfortunately, once again, there's no way of differentiating that. Like, you can't have 16 variations of the shaved sheep texture based on the wool. Believe me, I tried. I tried very hard. I looked into it, did a lot of research. There is no option implemented for different coloured sheep. It's kind of annoying, but there you go. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. This was version 2.3 of SCUR. You heard me right. And obviously this one will be uploaded to my website as usual today. If you do have any questions or recommendations, feel free to leave them down in the comments. But otherwise, this is kind of my announcement that color maps are going to be overhauled quite a lot in the future. And also, I don't know if you saw there, but obviously my idea for snow textures hopefully will be coming into play quite soon as well, if I can just get it to work in the first place. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and remember to download the pack, try it out for yourself, and give me any feedback that you may have as well, because it is always appreciated. And I just got a notification from Phoenix. Wonderful. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Narrator narrates all.
That isn't the right button.
Narrator narrates chat.
That's the right button.
Narrator
okay.
off.
Can that just go away, please? There we go. Okay. Bye-bye.